we want the board of directors, senior management to view cyber risk as a strategic risk. But you also mentioned we don't want to be too granular when we communicate with the board of directors. So I guess my question is, let's frame this. You have a cybersecurity program, an organization has a cybersecurity program, and they have a board of directors who obviously has oversight responsibilities. So talk to us about how the leaders of that cybersecurity program should interact with the board of directors, meaning how often should they be communicating with them? What should they be communicating with them? At what level, meaning at what level of detail? So talk to us about that oversight and how it looks.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a great segue into thinking about board structures and what boards do. Um, Boards vary in many ways in terms of the size of them for public and private organizations and nonprofit boards. They all kind of look different. Um, the typical model is for a publicly traded company, there are a few required committees that they have to have. You're going to look for a compensation committee. This is the board that's largely responsible for things like HR concerns. You have an audit committee, you have a finance committee. For all but a few select financial services companies, the cybersecurity and the risk function is typically going to report up into some sort of audit function at the board level. Some boards have risk committees and they focus solely on risk. Some of those organizations may find that their cybersecurity functions report to both of those committees and they share those kind of responsibilities and obligations. But that's sort of where the oversight comes from, and oftentimes because it's now a top four, top five concern for a lot of boards, you may find that your cybersecurity reporting goes to a full board for consideration and review. We may meet more often with just that audit committee chair. Throughout all of this, uh, the idea is to make sure that you have identified what the top strategic plans are for the organization, and then how that filters down throughout the different layers of the company. So, what are our top goals? And then, what are the parts of the business? What are the divisions or the overarching management programs that are in place to achieve those kinds of things? There is this sort of a translation layer that occurs between management layers of thinking about business products and strategies, and then the IT systems that support that. There's clearly going to be shared infrastructure across all of these things, but there's probably going to be some sort of key applications, key systems, key infrastructure that supports particular lines of business, particular products, particular services that your organization is offering, and that's where you begin to translate back down into the organization. Okay, so for this particular set of servers and database pairs that support this application that's keyed to delivering this particular product, here's sort of the risks and threats associated with those things going wrong and bad things happening to them. And that sort of allows you to narrow the focus at the top of the organization in your board reporting to say, I mean, just imagine how amazing it would be to be able to say, here's the cybersecurity risk associated with with product line X or service line B, and this gives us the opportunity to think about that. And then the next question that's going to be anticipated and should be is, okay, so how do we fix this? Is this okay, or are we looking at it as the right amount of risk for our organization? And then if not, how do we change that? What are the things that we need to fix? And that mapping, that connection back down into an infrastructure stack of some kind allows you to say, oh, well, great. These cybersecurity frameworks, with which we're familiar, has a list of 15 or 20 things that we think are important to do. Five of those are missing or deficient, and those are the ones that we need to focus on. Flipping those things, we'll flip it on the upper uh, reporting brackets, and the next thing you know, the board has a key bit of insight into how they can manage those things at a very granular level. The cybersecurity programs that we're familiar with, a security operations team, a risk team, perhaps a BISO team that does business liaisons, those things can be layered into there as well. But boards care a lot about governance, so they want to know that when you're looking at governance for cybersecurity organizations, that you're doing the right things. So those things fit in there as well. It's not simply just a list of control objectives that we need to think about as well, but oftentimes it's security programs broadly and how those connect to a set of scenarios that can bring about failure in an organization's goals and objectives.